guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a horror film from the United States, English language, released in the year 2013, directed by Ben Cadai, and this film is called Beneath. So Beneath is about a group of coal mining workers. You've got the boss who's been coal mining for 30 years, and this is going to be his last shift because he's decided to hang up the boots. So he's got a very pretty daughter who is very well known amongst the coal mining community, and she starts a little bit of banter at the start of the film saying that she can do the job of a coal miner, it's very easy, and then the coal miners are saying, no you can't, it's no place for a woman. So that back and forth is going until she actually realises that she really wants to experience, hands-on how the coal mining works. And so reluctantly the father accepts. He says, okay, you can come down with us, but you're only going to spend a few hours down there because it can get dangerous, and the first sign of danger, you're out of there. So she says, okay, and she accompanies them on this particular morning. So when they're underneath, they're doing their work, and then catastrophe strikes when the whole mine collapses, basically stranding the survivors hundreds of feet beneath the surface. So this is their fight for survival as their oxygen is running out, and they start to turn on each other because they're paranoid that something inside these mines are actually picking them off. So whether or not it's them going crazy or in fact there is a strange presence within, is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Beneath. I had no idea what to expect with this film, and what I got in the end was a fairly entertaining film. Now I can see a lot of people, when they watch this film, they're going to criticise it because it's very similar to The Descent, and it's quite clear that the movie is paying some kind of respect to The Descent because the overall formula is very similar, and unfortunately that is a case of predictability, and you actually feel, okay, I've seen this film somewhere, and obviously that is from the movie I just mentioned. But I will say there's enough creative liberties of its own to really warrant it a viewing. I mean, it's not a movie that's going to blow you out of the water, but it is a movie that will creep you out. The movie does play well on its psychology to a level where you can actually absorb yourself into the situation. And I think that is down to the fact that the characters were so well thought out. I thought the banter at the start of the film actually felt like a family dynamic within these coal miners. So these weren't fuzzy faces in the background that you just wanted to see get slaughtered in the worst possible way. You actually thought these were people that you could befriend. You thought these were real people. So when they actually face these bad times, you actually feel a lot of sorrow for them. So the impact is there to give you enough fear when things go from bad to worse. And so the cinematography was excellent. This was actually shot, wasn't actually shot in a mine, and that to me was the biggest surprise because it looks very authentic. You could actually feel the sweat and the tears and the blood and the panic within all these people because the overall setting was so claustrophobic. It felt like it was just slowly engulfing them to the point where they couldn't breathe anymore. So you feel as a viewer that you're disorientated as well. So it really does have a strong psychological effect, and that's what I liked about it the most, is that psychologically and as far as atmosphere is concerned, it was very impressive. But where the movie separates itself from The Descent is that The Descent really relied on monsters, where in this movie it's more a case of the monster within inside you, and how that monster can basically manifest itself in paranoia, delusions, when you're facing a catastrophic event. And so this is a movie that does play more on the psychology as opposed to the action, sort of fighting against monsters. And you're constantly asking yourself, are there monsters, or are the people actually becoming the monsters? Are the people, are these friends, are they turning against each other? And there's a lot of ambiguity there because there are scenes that actually show something where you can say to yourself, okay, maybe they're fighting against something, okay, or you can say, okay, maybe this is in their head. And that ambiguity gives the movie a lot of discussion value. So at the end of the film, you can interpret the film the way you thought, but someone else might interpret it a completely different way, and both of these interpretations could be valid. And so the movie, that ambiguity actually gives the movie a little bit of a life of its own. It gives it a little bit of a creative liberty where you can say, okay, this is very similar to The Descent, but it's not ripping it off. It is borrowing a little bit from it, but it's not blatantly a cardboard cutout, a blatant copy of the film. It actually feels like, okay, yes, you've seen the setting, you've seen the claustrophobic moments. There are moments, set pieces of horror where it's actually very similar to that of The Descent. But it does have that ambiguity, and it does feel like it's much more of a realistic portrayal of the inner turmoil that a person can suffer, and how psychologically you can deteriorate quite rapidly and you can transform into a different person. Basically, when a person faces fear and stares fear in the face, it can change them as a person. They become a completely different person to what they were before they went in. So the acting was very good, the script was surprisingly very good, gave the actors enough chance to really splash their characters on the screen so you could actually connect to them. It was very realistic in the way that they dealt with their problems. There was no heroics to the point where you thought, okay, this is just a film, which is a criticism I have that I have of The Descent, in that it did get a little bit theatrical at the end when you actually get to see the monsters. But in this movie, it does keep it somewhat realistic, and it makes it even more scarier, is because these sorts of things have happened. Is that, very recently in Chile, that catastrophe in the mines there, where people were stranded. So people actually do get stranded, and it's funny how the human mind can play tricks on you when you're facing these basically. They're facing these dilemmas that are so psychologically testing. So overall, if you are a fan of The Descent, I would highly recommend you check out Beneath. It's extremely atmospheric and psychological, so if that is your type of thing, I'm pretty sure that this will make you feel rewarded at the end of it. So overall, I'm going to give Beneath 3.5 stars. I was impressed. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.